Clipperdome time. We back. We got another video. We've been having some good conversations. We've been having some telephone calls. We've been at the relationship thing again. So we are back to video 18 and 19. The core conversations. Core versus surface conversations. So we're going to kind of revisit that a little bit. So we want to go to core traits of the man and the woman, or core traits to the male and the female. So when we take the calls and we want to try to get to a deeper meaning from the surface to the core. So there's surface things and then there are core things. So when we're taking these phone calls or we're having these conversations with the brothers and the sisters, the translation is lost in communication. So we want to make sure that we're communicating properly. So when we're doing this, what I want to try to address is to give a couple of for instances. The core, fellas, to the woman. Her core is to be emotional. She's going to have a lot of feelings. That's going to dictate her thoughts. So when she's having her emotions, she's dealing with things from an emotional standpoint. That's not a negative. That's who she is. Ladies, for the fellas, we're going to think more practical. We're going to be more mental. It's going to be a processing mentally. It has to make sense for us, or it has to be practical. So now I want to take those two core things, talking about the woman who is emotional, the woman who is thinking and going to go with her feelings first. That's going to dictate her mentality. Then with the fellas, we're going to think more practical. We're going to think more logical. So I want to see if we could take these two positions and we can merge those into one. So when we're thinking about, we'll take the ladies first. Fellas, if she wants to get her hair and her nails done, that's very important to her. No, that's not significant to us because we're going to think practical. We're going to think money. We're going to think logic. We're going to think about the bills. We're going to think about the things that need to be done in the household with the children and in the family. The ladies are going to be thinking, that makes me more comfortable, that makes me feel beautiful, and it's aesthetic for her. It's an emotion. It makes her feel good. With the ladies in the house, fellas, she's going to want to buy something that's a little bit more costly. Usually when we spend a little more money, it probably looks better. Usually, not all the time. So we have to understand how to balance that out. She's going to want things to look pretty. She's going to want them to look nice. Now, ladies, to the fellas, when you're going out shopping with your man, he's going to be thinking practical. He's going to be thinking logical. If you have a stove in the refrigerator that you're trying to purchase for the house, he's going to be trying to get the best bargain for his money. He doesn't care how it looks. He's going to look at how it functions. Excuse me. If it serves its purpose and it's practical and the stove cooks, the range on the top is good, it heats up, the stove heats up, the elements are good, all is well for the man. He doesn't need all the buttons and the bells and the whistles. Same thing with the refrigerator. He doesn't need it to talk to him. He doesn't need the refrigerator to have a screen. He's going to be thinking practical. He's going to say, how much is this going to cost? And the woman is going to be saying, how good does it look? So when we're talking about the surface and the core of who the man and the woman is, how males and females process things, we have a lot of the calls that we do receive. It's the differences in the core of the nature. They are both correct. Fellas, she's going to emotionally process the things that she needs for the house, the things that she does for the family. Ladies, the fellas are going to process logically the things for the house, process logically the things for the family, and he's going to be practical. So we need to find out how to merge these two things and put them together and make it cohesive in a relationship. Fellas, of course, your woman is going to want to go to the nice restaurant with the ambiance. Why? Because it looks nice and it makes her feel good and it's comfortable. It may have low lighting and it may be more of an intimate setting. She needs the intimacy. That is how her emotions are triggered. That makes her feel good as a woman or a female. Ladies, usually, as we know, the restaurants with the ambiance, the restaurants with the low lighting, the restaurant with the better atmosphere is usually going to cost more money. So now we have to see if we can merge these two things and we can understand each other's point of view from both sides and we can come up with a happy medium. Ladies, when you go to purchase your house, you're going to want a 3,500 square foot to a 5,000 square foot house. Your man is going to process that logically. He's going to process that from a practical, functional standpoint. Fellas, when she wants to go out and get the 3,500 square foot house or the 5,000 square foot house, you have to understand that that's connected to her, to you providing, and that's connected to her security, and that's connected to her comfort. So again, you have to have a meeting of the minds, and you need to see where you can find a happy medium. So when we say these core traits from the man and the woman, or the male or the female, we first have to understand from their core, why are they doing this? It comes off to the opposite sex as frivolous, sometimes mean, it gets confusing, but we need to understand the core of who he and she is. So that's why I'm trying to get to the core of the nature of these two genders, so that we can see why they do what they do. And then we'll build out from the core to the surface. So when we come into dealing with the children, the woman is probably usually going to be more passive. I've heard many times when the woman is saying, well, the children don't listen to me. But as soon as their father says something, they get in line and they do what they're supposed to do. That's because of his authoritative nature. His nature is to be an authority. He is a disciplinarian. That is the different, when we don't like to say gender roles, that is the organic nature of who he is. The woman is the nurturer. That is organically part of who she is. When the child gets hurt, if the mother and the father are sitting together and they are married as a couple and they're both raising the child, when the child gets hurt, the child will run to its mother, because the mother is the nurturer. When the child is hurt, they will run to the mother. If the child is scared, the mother and the father who are married raising the child are sitting together. The child will run to the father, because the father is the protection. That is the authoritative figure. They know this organically, but we like to separate these things and say that it's not so and that it doesn't exist, and we try to have dual roles. So what we just putting this one together, because we've been taking the phone calls, and I get a lot of brothers, middle-aged brothers from 50 to 60. We get some elders from 60 to 80 years old. Then we get some younger brothers from 19 to say 30, 35. And they're confusing the core nature of the woman with, they think that when she says something to them, they think of it as stupid or silly or crazy. But they have to understand that is her nature. But we are here to balance one another out. So when you want to go left, she's going to want to go right. So we have to find out how we can take this and tweak this, put it together so we can travel down the same path and be on the same page. So we need to understand the surface of the individual, what they will say, versus the core of who they are. That's going to dictate what they will do. So the core and surface in conversations in the previous two videos that I stated earlier, this video is a follow-up to that one. But this one is more further than the conversation. It's deeper to where the conversation comes from. It's how you get to the argument or how you get to the solution. But you want to need to know who she is at the core, and you want to know who he is at the core. So you need to understand that he is going to be physical, he is going to be more mental, he's going to be more practical, and he's going to be more logical. She's going to be more emotional, she's going to be more nurturing, and she's going to look for the aesthetics and the beauty in the situation, because that's connected to the core of who she is. So we need to know who the man and the woman is. We need to understand the core of their nature. So that will help us when we navigate through situations and understand that that's just who she is, or that's just who he is. So again, understanding the core nature of who the man and the woman is will help us navigate through situations and circumstances, conversations, disagreements, arguments. And so we want you to take this information. We want you to test this information. We want you to try this information. We want you to take it to the barbershop or take it to the hair salon, take it to the job or take it to the church. We want you to like, comment, and subscribe. This is the Clipperdome Chronicles. Thank you.